Alright, welcome back to What If Female Deku Was Space Godzilla. Now, I counted up the votes just a couple minutes ago from the last part of this series, and with a whopping 15 in total votes, including the likes those comments got, it is Hero. So those for you who voted for other things, I thank you for participating in this because you guys are a really good community, and I do thank you guys for watching these videos. Now then, we'll pick up where we last left off with Izumi flying off from her encounter with the heroes. As she would land in a nearby clearing, as she would think to herself, "Damn it, I used way too much of my power, and they actually managed to injure me." As due to her crystals being connected to her body, she is bleeding slightly from behind one of her crystals. As she would basically focus all her energy on it, as she would then regenerate. And yes, this is an ability Space Godzilla has. If you want to fight me for it, then fight me. I'm joking. As she would begin to stand up and begin to walk off, as she would try to get somewhere far away from where the pros are. Now remember, she is still 17 years old, and she threw the number 1 and number 2 hero, the top 5 heroes, around like a rag doll. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Inko is actually the number 5 hero. She is number 5 on the pro hero charts. As she would begin to move from the area, as she would then begin to construct a new crystalline area. As soon as she touched the ground, the crystals would begin to form, as they would construct some kind of rudimentary house. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it's livable. As she would walk in and sit down on like a crystalline throne, sort of like what you see in the picture. As she would begin to think to herself, why would these pros, sorry about the voice crack, why would these pros be coming for me? I mean, I'm not a massive threat. I haven't even harmed anyone. So why would they be coming after me? As she began to contemplate this, as she'd then think, it's because of my quirk, isn't it? They come after me because my quirk is like a villain's. Well, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to go to that UA school, and I'm going to prove to them, and I'm going to show the world that I am no villain. As she basically crushes a portion of the arm on her crystalline throne thing, whatever you want to call it. Then basically shards of the crystal would collapse to the ground. As Izumi would then stand up and then think to herself, the exam's going to take place in 10 months, so I have 10 months to train my quirk to get it to its maximum. While I hate it, I absolutely despise it, I'll have to use it during the exam. No, wait. I don't have to use it during the exam. I could just use all my physical capabilities and not bother using my quirk. Because remember, for those of you who have skipped the last part, or haven't seen the rest of the last part, she basically resents her quirk because of how people treated her due to it. As she would begin to train. She doesn't train her quirk, she trains her physical body. For these 10 months, she's basically training her endurance, her pain tolerance, and her physical capabilities. As she would basically, her physical capabilities. Now, she also does have some, she does have some super strengths, as this is a part of the mutation of her quirk, and since her quirk is a mutation, she can't really turn it off. So she decides whenever she's going to go to the entrance exam, she's just gonna be wearing very baggy clothing to hide everything. Now, here's a little thing I want to add in. Every time this crown on our head grows, it does cause a large amount of pain. It does cause a large amount of pain for her. Because imagine having this golden thing right here in the middle of your head, and it's just constantly growing. It would hurt. As she does feel, due to this, that is a part of her pain tolerance training. As her pain tolerance is about to the point where if she was stabbed, she wouldn't feel it. As the time for the entrance exams would roll about, as she would head towards the UA in the very baggy clothing that she carries with her. As she would then make it to UA. As she would enter the building, as President Mike is talking about the 1-pointers, the 2-pointers, and the 3-pointers, when a blue-haired boy jumps up, as he would then say that there are actually 4 robots on the paper and not 3. If this is an oversight by UA, I am very disappointed. Now, Izumi won't yell at Ida about this. So President Mike would just say that he was just about to move on to them, as Ida would have just embarrassed himself. With the written portion of the exam beginning, as Izumi would basically pass with flying colors, getting 100% on the exam and basically being first in the written portion. As we then get to the physical portion, as she's just standing there, still wearing the baggy clothing that she has, as this would be when President Mike said that there's no countdown in a real battle. Go, as they would all just dash into the area. With Izumi, remember, not using her quirk, basically destroying all the robots with her physical strength alone. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. As she would begin to basically just tear the robots apart. As she would rack up about 60 villain points and about 10 hero points, because she did help a few people who were stuck on who are being beaten by the robots, as Nezu would decide to release the Zero Pointer. As the Zero Pointer would come out, with Izumi seeing this and is about to run, until she heard somebody yell for help, as she would turn around and see that it was Uraraka, who was trapped beneath some rubble, as Izumi's heroic instincts would kick in, as she would then run to try and save Uraraka, as she would begin to start lifting the rubble off of her, but the Zero Pointer is getting dangerously close. And as the Zero Pointer is throwing a punch to try to basically attack them, All Might is about to jump in to stop it, when Izumi's basic natural instincts would kick in, as a crystal would sprout from the ground and impale the Zero Pointer. Now, this was without Izumi's conscious decision. This was her instincts acting, as the Zero Pointer would be impaled through the chest, as Izumi would look up and think, as it's gone right through the Zero Pointer's hand and into the chest, as she'd be thinking to herself, no. I promised myself that I wouldn't use my quirk, and damn it, I used it. As she basically carried Uraraka off to Recovery Girl's office. And she's still wearing the baggy clothing, and if you're wondering about the tail, she sort of has it like wrapped up and stuffed into her baggy clothing in her back. As she would carry Uraraka to Recovery Girl's office and place her down, as she is then healed, as she would leave as the exam was over. As she would have put her dress down on her house, as she did have a mailbox that was made out of crystal, as she would basically go out there and grab her mail and see that she had gotten her letter from UA saying that she was accepted and that she would be put in Class 1A. As Izumi would have smiled and said, as she would think to herself, I got in, now I can finally become a hero without using this curse of a quirk. As she would begin to grab her head in pain, as she would look up at her, as she would then get a mirror and see that her crystalline crown has become fully grown. As she would then say to herself, so, this is what it looks like fully grown. Looks actually quite alright. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. As she would begin to clean the blood off of her forehead from the basically crystalline crown growing from her head, as she would take a shower to clean the rest of the blood out of her hair, because for those of you who have had blood in their hair, you would know how painful it is to get it out. As we'll then get to the day where Izumi would head to UA. Now, she does go under a false alias, and this alias was suggested by, give me a minute. Alright, so I can't find it, but I think it was along the lines of Aura Crestfallen. Also, for those of you, if any of you are watching this, can you please stop putting things for Flick Zone in my comment section, I do not agree to this. Anyway, back to the story. As she would then head to UA. As she is going by the name Aura Crestfallen, so I'll be referring to her as Zumi. I'm going to keep referring to her as Zumi because it's easier for my mental state. As she would enter Class 1A and see Ida and Bakugo arguing. As she would basically head to her desk with Aizawa saying that her brother stating that he is Shota Aizawa and that he is their homeroom teacher. And as he'd say that they need to head out to the field, to the testing grounds, as they would pull out the gym uniform, as Uraraka would then say, "What about orientation?" As I would say, "No time for that." As Izumi, who would basically grab the gym uniform. Sorry about that. My mind went blank for a second there. As she would then head down to the changing room. As she would have noticed a hole in the wall, which she would have covered up with a form of crystal, but it's not nobody notices it. As while Izumi's getting changed, the other girls noticed the crystalline spines going down her back and the two crystals on her shoulder, along with the tail, as they would ask her if that was her quirk, as she would then say that she doesn't want to talk about it, as she then basically gets changed and heads out. And that is where I'm going to be leaving this part off. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time.